Welcome, my name is Peter Best, and today we're at the second European Perspective, and with me is one of the speakers at this meeting in 2016, and she is Dr. Erin Lowe, the technical manager in the US swine team of Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica. Welcome, Dr. Lowe.
Thank you.
Your talk at the Perspective has been about the application of diagnostics in PRRS control in swine herds. How important is it to determine the status of PRRS in a swine herd?
Really, using the diagnostics in U.S. swine herds, we've found that determining that current status, we're able to better understand where we're beginning the PRRS control process. It's really the starting point on a map as to how you can reach PRRS control. So if we don't have the appropriate starting point, we really don't know where we're going.
And has this been a failure before to find the starting point on the map, as you put it?
Yes, of course. So if we aren't starting in the right place, then we oftentimes put the wrong intervention into place, and so it fails, and we blame the intervention, not so much the starting point.
I'm with you. And has this been because of the diagnostic procedures available to us, or their application, or both?
Both. I think in years past, before we had the PCR test, we were using simply just ELISA results, and that really gave us the wrong impression with our herds. But now we've got better tests, and now we're learning more about those tests and how to apply them in the herds.
So we've got a much better idea of individual herd status. What about regional status and these sort of things?
Exactly, and so now we're able to take the individual herds, and we're able to have a better understanding with those individual herd statuses, or even on an industry level statuses, to roll those up and understand how well we're doing.
This is very encouraging. I mean, what are the challenges to determining status today then? Is it easy or?
It's not easy. Unfortunately, it's not easy. And so one of the challenges is that there are oftentimes many populations or different subpopulations in breeding herds that we're trying to determine a status on, so suckling piglets or breeding sows. And then the other challenge really with determining a herd status is we would all like to just go in one day and have a point in time and just take all the samples all at once. And unfortunately, some of the statuses are a little bit more uncertain, and we have to do that over time.
But when you talk about subpopulations, forgive me, I get a bit confused myself. I mean, is there such a thing as a herd status, or is it a subpopulation status within a herd?
It's both. So in order to say a herd is negative, we must know that all the subpopulations are negative. So we have to roll that up into a herd status.
Yes.
But it's important to understand the different populations that do exist.
And is status a fixed thing, or does it change very quickly?
It can change very quickly. Certainly when you're going from negative or more negative to more positive, that changes very quickly, and oftentimes we see those clinical signs.
Now, when you say about the starting point on the map, having fixed that starting point, are you seeing in the States some real good examples of how this has helped to formulate and implement some good practical programs of control?
Yes, and what it's helped us with is that it gives us a better idea of which herds are starting where, and then we can add those herds together and understand, do those control methods, whatever they put in place, how well do they work? Right. In the past, we had many different starting points and putting the same control methods in place, and it was very difficult to measure how those control methods work.
Now, in the States, you've got these area regional control projects.
That's
and
right.
The protocols of the American Association of Swine Veterinarians. What adaptations are US producers needing to make in order to conform or comply?
Right. Well, so they don't have to comply. No one has to comply with anything. Everything in the United States is voluntary as regards to PRRS. But what they do need to do is they need to adapt the guidelines that the American Association of Swine Veterinarians put out, because they don't address the use of vaccine, and they doesn't address the use of a herd wanting to maintain an immune status. So in our herds in the United States, there are some that would break with PRRS yearly or every 18 months. And so those herds don't want to go PRRS negative. They don't want to reach a negative status. They would prefer to maintain an immune status to
Yes.
to reduce the infection in the future.
Yes.
And so they just had to adapt and adjust a couple of the categories and create a vaccinated status or an immune but stable status.
Yeah, give me an example of adaptation very quickly, would you please? So when you say adapt, what sort of thing?
Well, in the ASV guidelines, there's a 2A and a 2B, and the 2B is undergoing elimination. But they've added a 2C, so there's this 2C positive, stable, but vaccinated. And so it maintains this other status. So it's just added an extra status category.
Yes, very good. Dr. Lowe, many thanks indeed for your help. This is Peter Best at the Second European Perspective. Thank you for joining us.